As the election nears, I find myself talking about it very often with friends, family, or just online. From the right, I hear, if Biden wins, it's going to be the rise of the socialists and the commies. From the left, I hear, if you vote for Trump, you're a verified racist. But is the Republican Party really filled with racists? Is the Republican Party any more racist than the Democratic Party? I don't know. It might just be the opposite. Let's get into it. A couple years ago, the left started embracing identity politics or critical race theory, whatever you want to call it. In reality, it's just plain old racism. We see Kamala doing it right now. In her 60 Minutes interview this weekend, when she was asked why people should get behind her and Joe Biden, she went straight to identity politics. Check it out.
Nonpartisan GovTrack has rated you as the most liberal senator. You supported the Green New Deal.
Oh my God! That smile's gonna lose you the election, woman! Put it away! Let's get back to the video.
You supported the Green New Deal. You supported Medicare for all. You've supported legalizing marijuana. Joe Biden doesn't support those things. So are you going to bring the policies, those progressive policies that you supported as senator, into a Biden administration?
What I will do, and I promise you this, and this is what Joe wants me to do, this was part of our deal. I will always share with him my lived experience as it relates to any issue that we confront. And I promised Joe that I will give him that perspective and always be honest with him.
And is that a socialist or progressive perspective?
No.
Straight to identity politics. Sad. But I'm not surprised. That's why she was added to the ticket by Joe Biden in order to secure the black vote, which is an incredibly racist thing to assume. And it seems like it's not going very well.
Does the presence of Kamala Harris on the Democratic ticket sway you at all?
Not at all. I don't know who said she had our vote. She does not. We were supposed to grab onto Kamala with the black girl magic, but that didn't happen because she didn't right her wrongs. Like, I hold officials accountable. I don't care what color you are. And I think that too often we automatically think that because someone looks like you, that they're going to have your best interests at heart. And that's just not simply true.
I think I know why these girls aren't voting for Biden. The only reasonable explanation is that they're white supremacists. Right? 50 Cent might be a white supremacist too. But don't worry, the wonderfully woke Chelsea Handler reminded him that he is indeed black. This is the same Chelsea Handler who had an hour-and-a-half documentary on white privilege, so you know what we're dealing with here. Check out her comments on 50 Cent.
So he doesn't want to pay 62% of taxes because he doesn't want to go from being 50 cent to 20 cent. And I had to remind him that he was a black person, so he can't vote for Donald Trump, and that he shouldn't be influencing an entire swath of people who may listen to him because he's worried about his own personal pocketbook. So I haven't heard back from him yet, but I am willing to, seal the deal in more ways than one if he changes his mind and publicly denounces Donald Trump. I might be willing to go for another spin, if you know what I'm talking about.
In case you didn't catch that last joke, 50 used to take Chelsea to the candy shop, and she's willing to go for another ride if he votes for Biden. Yes, she's willing to sell her body for a vote for Biden. The wonderful Chelsea Handler, everybody. And by the way, Chelsea, in her past, has had a lot of relationships with black guys, which I don't have a problem with. But, according to the social justice warrior manual, if a white person has sex with a black person, that means that they're fetishizing their black skin. So Chelsea is a racist, a fetishizer. That Chelsea video reminded me of something, but I can't. It reminded me of Joe Biden.
And you got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
I think the biggest theme here is that the left has become completely intolerant of any differing views. I came across this gem yesterday on my Facebook timeline. I'm going to read it to you. If you're voting for Trump, you're voting for an administration that traffics in racism, homophobia, transphobia, ableism, anti-Semitism, xenophobia, sexism, etc., and you're either voting for him because of those things or in spite of those things. Both of which are unacceptable and unforgivable, and I genuinely wonder how anyone can reconcile that with their conscience. If you're voting for Biden, you're voting for the future of our planet, protections and equal rights for LGBTQIA+, Where does the IA come from? Is that new? Community, racial equality, women's reproductive rights, gun safety, the future for democracy in general, etc., etc. I understand respecting different views, but this is clear right-wrong as human rights are on the line and on the ballot. Hashtag Biden-Harris 2020. You see how they frame things as a moral decision in which if you don't agree with them, you're in the wrong and therefore evil? You're unforgivable. Unforgivable. There's no chance I'm wrong. You're wrong, and it's unforgivable. The best part is at the end where she says, I understand respecting different views, but what? But what? They don't respect different views, and that's all you need to know. The intolerant left, ladies and gentlemen. The left is embracing intersectionality, which, if they have the opportunity, will lead to hate speech legislation. This will lead to censorship, similar to what's happening now with big tech. For example, the Young Turks, a super left-wing news outlet, was calling for censorship and hate speech legislation. They were calling for it. And now it happened to them, and they're shocked. The same thing happened with Sacha Baron Cohen, Borat. He was calling for censorship. Now he got censored, and he's shocked. You gotta be careful for what you wish for, bro. We could have no censorship. No censorship. For the left, for the right. No censorship. We ain't China. Now, let's touch on the most egregious story of censorship in recent history. That's the Hunter Biden story, or most importantly, the mainstream media's lack of coverage of the Hunter Biden story. As we know, Twitter and Facebook censored the story, and the New York Post's Twitter account, as of the filming of this video, is still locked. Still, no access to the public square for a newspaper. Over the weekend, the Washington Post, the Jeff Bezos-owned newspaper, published a very interesting opinion piece. It was written by a former security expert, but I want to read you a wonderful line from it. Check it out. We must treat the Hunter Biden leaks as if they were a foreign intelligence operation, even if they probably aren't. Even if it's probably not foreign intelligence, we must treat it as such. That's some nice journalism you got going on over there. Why you... Jeff, you made $10 billion during the pandemic. Why don't you get yourself some good journalism, some good opinion writers, and take care of this nonsense, because that's ridiculous. Some people who back Biden think they're fighting the resistance. In reality, you're not. You're part of the mainstream establishment, neoliberals. The corporations, Wall Street, big money's on your side. I wonder why. Of this came out by the New York Times reporting on political donations. Check out this chart. As you can see, the wealthy zip codes and the wealthy people are the ones given to Biden, who, by the way, has raised a lot more than Trump, who is getting from the less wealthy zip codes. And Wall Street's money and corporations are also filling the coffers of Joe Biden. He ain't the small town Scranton man he claims to be. Now, for a little conspiracy talk. What are the chances that Joe Biden resigns, dies, or gets deemed unfit for office by Nancy Pelosi's new commission once he wins the election? Does that mean that we're finally going to have our first woman president? I think that's more probable than not. What are the chances that this man makes it to a second term? What are the chances he finishes his first? Not much. But if you want to get more conspiratorial than Kamala being president, how about this? Kamala becomes president. Then she gets to appoint her vice president. Congress needs to approve, but Congress is Democratic. They have the Senate and the House. So what does Kamala do? She appoints Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton becomes the vice president of the United States. And then something happens to Kamala Harris. Cha-ching! The Clinton body count goes up by 1. And then we have the Hillary Clinton presidency. Ding, 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 ding. Anyway, what do you think? Which party is more racist? Democrats, Republicans, all of them? Comment down below. Like, subscribe. Ginger out.